In this video, we're going to create some buttons to appear in the button block on the website. And if you don't know where the button block is, that's okay. As soon as we make some buttons, you'll see how that works. So come over here to the administrative menu, click on Create Content, Button. And we have a few options for creating buttons. In this demo, we'll go through two of them. So we're going to make a contribute button. We want the contribute button to link us to our PayPal page. And the URL would probably be something, PayPal/something, to take someone directly to your specific page to give a donation. We don't actually have one, so we're just going to leave it at PayPal. Then the quickest way to make a button is, if you don't have an image handy, you can just create a button on the fly by choosing a background color here for your button. And this color picker can be very helpful in picking a color. Let's go for a bright red. Paste it in. Be sure to include that # in the front of the color. And here we can choose a button size. I think 256 by 36 is a nice size for our right column. And here you can adjust the settings for the button text. We'll start with the defaults, but you can see here you can set the top margin and left margin of the text to move the text around in the middle of the button. You can also change the color of the text of your button, the font size, and the weight. So we'll just see what the defaults all look like. We're going to click Save. And here's our Contribute button. So in just a few seconds, we were able to create a pretty nice looking button. Now let's create another, and I'll show you a fancier way to do it. This will be the Get Involved button. And the Get Involved button, rather than going to an external page, will take our visitors, just opening this in another tab right here, and I did that, here I'll do it in a way that you can see it on the video. I'm going to right click and open this in a new tab. So we're going to create a link to a listing of volunteer events. Right now we only have one, but soon we're going to have dozens of volunteer events posted online. And when we filter for volunteer events, the URL up here gets modified, and this little parameter at the end tells the event page to only show volunteer events in this case. So we're going to copy that URL, and we're going to paste it in here. Then we're going to do something else that's a little different. We're going to select a button image. And we have these two stock images, which you are welcome to download at starswithstripes.org/button. And we're going to use these. Having a nice blue and red button, or whatever color scheme you want to use, can be nice if you want the benefit of using an image that has this sort of gradient and 3D look to it, but you don't have a volunteer on hand who knows design, or you don't have the budget for a graphic designer every time you want to create a button. You can use an image like this and just plunk some text in over it. Again, we can set the button size. We're going to go 256 by 36. We are going to leave this on because our image does not have text written into it, but if the image we uploaded had text, we would uncheck display button title, excuse me. So we leave that checked. And then just so you can see, I'm going to go ahead and change the font weight to bold. And weight here determines the order of buttons. So let's leave that alone, and then I'll come back and show you how that works in just a minute. Now, in this case, it's not showing us a sample, and the reason is that we have to clear the cache for our changes to take effect. So let's go to Site Management, Empty Cache, and it'll take us to the front page where we can see our buttons in action. There are the buttons that we just created. And you can see the difference between this button that has a solid color background and this button that has this sort of 3D looking gradient effect. It's really a matter of preference. Both can look great. It's really really a matter of your personal preference, I think, which way you go. Let's go back to buttons for just a second, and I'll show you how weight works. Now, we can click the back button because we were just there. If you don't know how to find the actual page that you created the button on, you can go to Site Management, Manage Content, and then filter for the Post Type button. Node type right here, this is Drupal language. The open source platform our website is built on is called Drupal. You don't really need to know this stuff, but it's included here in case you find yourself browsing open source libraries of contributed code and wanting to build new things into the website. It can be helpful to know the lingo. So here we're going to filter for buttons. And you can see the two buttons that we've created. And I've already forgotten which one was on the top, so let's just take a look at our home page. Okay, Contribute is on the top, Get Involved is on the bottom. We want to flip-flop the order here. So we're going to do this by setting the weights of these buttons. And the way that works is heavy buttons sink to the bottom, and light buttons float to the top. So you can control the order by setting things that you want to be higher up with lighter numbers or lower numbers, and setting the buttons you want to be at the bottom with heavier numbers. So we're going to put Contribute down at the bottom. We're going to give it a nice heavy number, a heavy weight. Sorry, that's font weight. This is the weight we want. So let's say it weighs, 5. And then Get Involved should be at the top. Now obviously we could do this with 1 and 2. We don't have to be so dramatic about it, but I'm going to be dramatic here. Let's say we want Get Involved not only to be at the top, but we want it to be at the top of the buttons block forever, for every, including on into the future when people post new buttons as the site kind of evolves. So we're going to give it a really light number. The lowest negative number we've got on the list is -15. We can click Save. Let's empty the cache. And you can see these have changed order. And in fact, we've given this such a light number that it's likely that as people add new buttons, they'll end up right in here between Get Involved and Contribute. So that's about it to creating buttons.